Well, the world was quite different in 1960. I had just come back from sort of my other life, and the hospital, St. John's, there were shock waves that went through St. John's Hospital. My fourth child was being born, and it turned out to be Jimmy. But the shock wave that went through the hospital was the Erskine baby is mongoloid. Isn't that a harsh term? Well, that sort of reflects society's view in those days of people who were different. And so we know Down syndrome now is a real term, the medical term, for this birth defect. Well, that was the start of a new world for me that I never knew existed. And that were parents who had handicapped or birth defect children. And so some of the parents got together and said, you know, there are no services at all in Madison County, or maybe other counties. Society just wasn't ready to deal with people who were different at that time. So good doctors, I mean the top doctors, had no choices but to say, as they did to us, Betty and me, well, why don't you take your little fellow, and there's some really good places that you could place him, and you won't disrupt your family, and you'll go on with a normal life. Well, I have to tell you something. A lot of people think I had a lot of guts in my career to do a lot of things, but let me tell you who had the real backbone. It was Betty. And she said, no way. Now you gotta realize that I'm a father, she's a mother. She carried this little guy for 9 months. She wasn't about to give him up. And so that started a long and sometimes a very discouraging trip. The trip from then, in 1960, to what we know today as Hopewell Center.
Because of the vision of the Erskines and other families 40 years ago, there are now options for families and their children. Today, services are available at birth or at first diagnosis.
Research has shown that early intervention is successful on minimizing the impact of developmental delays. Here at Hopewell Center, the purpose of our Home Start Early Intervention program is to provide coordinated and individualized services to support the child with special needs.
There's that baby. And there's that frog.
With Logan, I remember noticing that he wasn't speaking. He didn't make requests for anything that he wanted. And it was kind of a guessing game. He would get unhappy and we would try to figure out what to do next. And so we started looking into why didn't he point? Why didn't he use words? And so we got hooked up through our pediatrician with First Steps, and through First Steps we found Hopewell.
We work with the families on enhancing their ability to support the child's development and to improve developmental skills throughout the course of their daily life. We have professional therapists that go to the family's home to work on all areas of development, including cognition, communication, motor, and social interactive skills.
I mean, I think the biggest thing, Hopewell did help us see that Logan could appropriately play with toys, and the speech was there. At that time, we weren't sure. We just knew he was unhappy most of the time, and we weren't sure what to do to help him. And so they did provide guidance and help us figure out that there can be a plan, that we can progress instead of just being unhappy all the time. We're pleased to say that Logan is doing very well. He is in regular first grade this year, and we just got his first report cards, and everything went very well.
Hopewell continues the work they began throughout a person's lifetime. Adam began at Hopewell when he was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. He is continuing to develop many skills, including much-needed social skills, with the help of Hopewell staff. He has offered a number of activities to learn self-help and socialization skills out in the community. As Adam reaches adulthood, there will be many options available to him.
At Hopewell Center, we are so excited to be able to be a part of a person's hopes and dreams, to help them achieve what they have longed for. We want to support them in achieving the things that they have dreamed about for themselves. We help families to achieve the things that they have dreamed about for their children that they thought that they would never be able to see them achieve. There are many different aspects in meeting the needs of our community, and that can mean from supporting a family who wants to keep a child in their home to supporting an individual adult who wants to live in their own apartment and be as independent as possible, but also for those individuals who need intense support, providing them a group home setting where 4 or 8 individuals live together and have staff with them at all times. We encourage full, balanced lives, which means not only working, but also having fun and doing things in the community, such as being a part of churches and social organizations and clubs, and helping individuals to find out what they enjoy and what they're passionate about.
Preparing for employment can begin right here at Hopewell.
The Sheltered Workshop or the Work Center is a vocational training facility for adults. So we actually work with individuals 18 years old and older. The goal of the program is to provide supportive services to individuals or program participants so that they might gain and maintain competitive employment eventually. Cartridge King is a subsidiary of Hopewell Center Industrial Division. What it is a laser printer cartridge recycling program. All of the technicians who work in Cartridge King are consumers who have learned the skills of rebuilding the cartridges. Everyone in Cartridge King and the Sheltered Workshop do get paid a commensurate wage according to their performance.
While some clients continue employment in the workshop, others use it as a stepping stone to move out into the community workforce.
Now, the big one was when the staff at Hopewell came to Betty and me and said, you know, we've been watching Jimmy. He's real good on task. When you give him a job, he stays on it. We think he might be able to work in a real job. Really? We said. The staff says, yeah, we're not kidding. We don't think this is a long shot. We think he can do it. Well, Jimmy ended up with a job at Applebee's restaurant. And he works 3 days a week in the mornings before they open. And he preps the tables and the condiments and a few other routine jobs he has. And to our amazement, he's been there over 7 years. And the staff at Applebee's, they're great. I mean, they're all buddies of Jimmy's. And I thanked the manager one day, which I do often. Oh, he says, Carl, wait a minute. He said, you know what? My whole staff interacts better when Jimmy's here.
Can you open that, please?
Good job, Jimmy! Good job!
So I'm bragging on the staff because they saw in Jimmy things that maybe Betty and I wouldn't have reached for.
The idea behind community employment services is really pretty simple. It's to discover an individual's talents, strengths, and abilities and match those with a community employer that embraces diversity in their workforce.
I mean, since Hopewell has helped me get this job, my life has just went through the roof. So it's like I have a social life and I'm more active and energetic, and you know, I have all this energy, and oh my gosh, you know, there's people that come into the store that I haven't seen in years. They look at me and go, oh my gosh, look at how you've changed, you know, and it's like, wow, you know, there's people actually looking at me and they like how I look.
Having Diana at Old Navy has just been an unbelievable experience for all of us who have worked there. She comes in every day with a smile on her face. She brightens up the day for everyone who works there. Even if somebody's having a bad day, if you want to get your day a little happier, have a little better of a day, just go see her. And it only takes about a minute or two, and next thing you know, you're laughing and smiling, and it carries on through the entire day.
When your dreams and goals have been fulfilled, the sincere joy you feel can then be expressed by giving back to the community.
I would like to say thank you, Hopewell, very much.
Thank you, Hopewell Center.
Thank you, Hopewell.
When I go through an airport now with Jimmy or have him out in public, which he goes a lot of places with Betty and me, people recognize Jimmy. They don't know who I am, but they'll come over and say, "Hey, young man, are you traveling today?" There's a whole change in how we see each other. And so, to me, I lived in a very exciting time in my baseball career. I watched Jackie Robinson break down a lot of barriers because society wasn't ready for him either and kept a segregated kind of society. But Jackie and later Jimmy and Jimmy's friends began to prove to the general public that, hey, these are real human beings, got real personalities, and they can enrich all of us. So the leap forward from then to now has included all kinds of new services. Of course, special education came into the picture, Special Olympics. I always like to think that sports had a lot to do with acceptance because it did in Jackie's case. They saw him as a great athlete and said, hey, why deny him? Well, when Jimmy got out of society and others of Jimmy's friends, people said, gee, I kind of like they're kind of nice folks. You know what? They're real sweet too, and most of them are very loving. People began to see with different kind of eyes. And so the leap forward to me was one of the most exciting things in my life, aside from all the other beautiful things I've been privileged to do and be a part of. I couldn't think of anything that would have a greater impact to say what happened in the last century. Well, I think two things happened. Acceptance of how we see each other racially, and then how other people who are born differently but still human beings are now embraced in our society. That's a big leap.